Now, without talking about it. Um, we are where we are today because of you. I have been telling Edwin that Edwin will join very soon. We wake up doing what we do because there is a godmother somewhere who really believes in what we do. So we started in 2018. I personally had I have a personal business with HIV. Edwin also has a personal business with HIV. I lost my dad to HIV. He had an advanced HIV. Edwin also had an auntie who also had the same issue. So when we started in 2018, it was purely about support services. We were doing more like reactive services where people have the virus and then we tend to provide them with some support services. So we started with some case management, and what we realized around that time was the fact that people get diagnosed and then linkage becomes a problem. We had people who, because we didn't have so many ART clinics, HIV treatment clinics, one would need to get diagnosed at a certain facility and then move to another facility to start treatment. And that was causing a lot of problems where they drop off, they will not even go. So when we started, it was more like linkages and then case management, helping people do their viral loads, counseling people, as well as sending their medications to them that we still do now. So we still do the medication delivery. But as time went on, we realized that we are diagnosing a lot of people, but we are still having issues. So the best thing is also look at prevention. And then our data was telling us a different story. The strategy for Ghana was to look at female sex workers and then MSMs. But when we realized was that the absolute impact, the numbers on a daily basis were impacting women and girls. If I should show you the data, where for the past 5 years, from 2018 to 2023, almost 70 to 75% of all new HIV diagnoses in this country has been women. So I asked ourselves, what is our strategy? What do we need to do going forward? And that is where we realized that every program that we need to run going forward, we need to revolve around women and girls. So currently, we are the only organization in Ghana that is doing a lot in terms of PrEP navigation, where we are linking women and girls to PrEP. We are having problems where some clinics would allow you to give them the prophylaxis. Others will tell you don't qualify for PrEP. So currently, our flagship program has been basically been around some PrEP awareness that we are giving to people. And then we are fortunate that for the past 2 years, we have done some sort of self-test distribution in Ghana here, where we have distributed more than 5,000 or 6,000 self-test kits to individuals. Now, the good news is that anytime we give you a test kit for you to go and test at home, we tell you about PrEP. So indirectly, we have talked to more than 6,000 people about PrEP. The only problem we have now is that I can count on my fingertips the number of people who have actually gone ahead to have PrEP, especially women who wanted it, because of the issues of you don't qualify, you belong to this population, so you don't qualify and all that stuff. But we are not giving up. Going forward, in G8, the Global Fund Cycle 8, which will start very soon, we are looking at using some part of our Global Funds money. It's going to be a huge advocacy where some part of our Global Fund money can go into lenacapavir long-acting. I have been told most of the time that when it comes to PrEP, I should not be talking about the individual forms of PrEP. But what we are getting and we can get for now is lenacapavir because of the fact that most African countries are registering it, the fact that the cost is so low as at now, that it will be easier for us to have it first before other forms of PrEP comes in. So we are doing prevention, we are doing PEP, we are the only community-based organization that is doing PEP distribution in the country, where individuals who get exposed to HIV will not need to go to the hospital. You call us, and then what we do is that we don't even question the kind of exposure you had, because that was the
Hmm.
problem most people were having, where people who had gone to facilities and said we have had an exposure were asked to bring the partners and all that stuff. It looks as if it was a problem for them. So when you have an exposure, we just add self-test kits and then we give you the paper. So you take it for 20 days and you do another
Hmm.
testing after. Um, I could go on and on and on, but I think
Yeah. So, so Max, I do have a question for you, but
sure.
before we get to that, I want to acknowledge Edwin has also joined us. And so Edwin, welcome. And for those of you who have just joined, we are honored to be with Axe Ghana. And as you have heard, Max talk about the impact of HIV on women and girls in Ghana. We heard 70 to 75% of those HIV diagnoses are among women. And of course, in the US, that's just hard to fathom when we see the total opposite, that about 70, 75% of the new HIV diagnoses are among men, and we see the reverse in Ghana. And so I'd like to hear from you, and then we'll open up for a few questions. What are the most pressing health and social challenges that women are facing in Uganda that's impacting those types of numbers?
In Ghana and not, you mentioned
I mean, I'm
Uganda.
sorry, in Ghana, in Ghana. Thank you.
I, I think so. This is a situation. When you even look at our unemployment numbers, is an issue. I have been saying that you cannot talk about HIV without talking about some of these unemployment issues,
Uh-huh.
and then the power factor. You know, our society was built in such a way that men control everything. So what we realized was the fact that we need to empower a lot of women. I have had situations where you have young ladies probably needing to date older men, bigger men, men with money just to be able to survive. That's the reality.
Exactly.
It's
Right.
something we cannot forget. So my issue is that the fact that a lot of these women are economically handicapped is also another factor that is driving the HIV epidemic in this country. I think the best solution is the fact that we currently do not have all the solutions. The government will need to do a lot. But I think poverty has been with us for a very long time. That is why we think that we should protect the women directly.
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing is the fact that some women cannot take certain decisions when it comes to negotiating some sort of protective sex with our traditional condoms and all that stuff. But the good news with PrEP is the fact that it's more like a silent condom. I tend to call it a silent condom, where you don't need to negotiate with somebody to be able to probably use PrEP. So for me, let's look at the situation where we protect women directly, where we give them access to PrEP. And then that also comes with issues around cost.
Mm-hmm.
How affordable are we supposed to have PrEP for everybody to be able to probably have access to it? I have been saying that donors alone will not be able to do all. Donors, when there is excitement fatigue, where the excitement leaves, what happens is the fact that then they shift to something else. So if we tend to rely solely on donors funding PrEP, that would be a huge problem. Um,
So Max, let me pause here for a moment because you have mentioned several key issues that are fueling the HIV epidemic for women. I have heard poverty. I have heard women being in position where they may not be able to negotiate HIV prevention. And I've also heard that there's got to be a pathway to PrEP that eliminates barriers around cost, around access to HIV prevention services. And in the United States, we would frame all of that as social determinants of health. So, Edwin, I want to hear from you this morning. One, so that you know I don't have a favorite. I love you both. But just a quick overview about Axe Ghana and some of the things that we heard from Max this morning about the epidemic that you all are facing, but more importantly, the epidemic that you're tackling for women and girls.
All right, so nice meeting you once again, Felicia.
Mhm,
And I think I can see Wendell,
mhm,
and there's another person, Cindy. I don't know her, but I think she will
mhm,
introduce herself later.
mhm,
So nice meeting you once again. And just as Maxwell said, this whole um, fight against HIV and AIDS um, is very dear to our heart in terms of Maxwell and I. We we just as he said, he was affected by a dad. I'm also was affected by a paternal grandmother. Okay, at the time, HIV, we didn't even have HIV drugs, and as a child, I think I was in basic school. I think I was in primary six or five or so, and I didn't know what HIV was about. It was my stepmom who told me that the old lady died of HIV. I didn't know my paternal grandmother. I didn't know what was happening to. I All I knew was that she used to get sick, and then so it was later I realized that the problem was that we didn't even have drugs at the time until 2002 when Global Fund came in, and then we started having the antiretroviral drugs. So looking back, I understand how she suffered. Where she was suffering, she didn't know how to get by. It means that treatment and all that was eluded her, and she had to die. So meeting Maxwell and then sharing our situation, and then he bringing up this situation about putting up Ask Ghana, and then seeing how we can best help people who would not get into such a situation. Coming back to, so let me just cut that one short. I know you know all about Ask Ghana. You've been our pillar, but let me go straight to the Ghanaian situation and what Maxwell said. I think Maxwell has said everything, but what I would have to also add is that I think that every country needs to own the fight themselves and find ways that will help them to be able to achieve their goal. From in Ghana, it looks like we prepare uh, every solution based on how donors will help us, which is good because without donors, we will not be able to do all. But then we also need to look at it from the point of view that Ghana needs to look at our situation. So from what Maxwell was saying, if we need to fight HIV, adolescent girls and women, how do we localize it? How do we make it our own? From what we understand, especially in Ghana, because in Europe and maybe in America, most women are more empowered than in Africa. Okay, so in Africa, because of financial situations and not having money, women are not too empowered to be able to decide whether I'll use a condom or not. So it is quite uh, difficult for them to negotiate or take, how do you call it, the situation in their own hands. So
mhm,
I think that once we begin to look at it from the point of view that women needs to be empowered and how we will be able to work around the whole situation, bringing in prep at subsidized prices where the women can buy prep on their own is more powerful than the way we are doing it right now. So from Maxwell's point of view, prep would be like a silent condom where the woman would have enrolled on prep, whether the the how do you call it, a pill or the injectable, they are already on prep. So once they meet the man or whatever, whether there's a sexual activity or whatever, they are already empowered. So they don't have any risk in terms of HIV, contracting HIV from a man who would dictate the pace. So that's how I'm looking at it from. And as Ghana, we have our prep access for all program, which is also looking at targeting women and adolescent girls, young women and adolescent girls, where we are also looking at a program where we'll be able to negotiate to get out of pocket uh, purchase of prep and all that. So I think that with time we'll be able to. These are my early remarks. So let me end it here, and then with time we can say more about it. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. And thank you so much, Edwin, for being with us on this morning. So you at this afternoon, I'm still adjusting to the time as well. Um, you mentioned about being able to localize the efforts to address HIV among women and girls. But what if there are folks who are watching now or who will view this webinar who say I'm encouraged uh, by hearing from the leadership of Axe Ghana and I want to do something to support their efforts? How do they connect with you? What are the things that, as an organization, you can benefit from? And if you get the yes for donations, how can people provide those donations to you?
So at the moment, we our website is not fully completed, but what we wanted to do was that we wanted to have the website have a donation button where when you visit the website you'll be able to uh, click on the donation button. It will take you to any payment platform that will be easy for you to be able to make the payment to Ask Ghana. But at the moment, we can at the end of the program, we can provide our account number. Then if anybody can wants to donate to Ask Ghana, they can donate through the account number. But we are working on getting the donate button working so that once you click on it, any other payment platform that you wish to donate to will be made available for you to donate. But in the meantime, we'll provide our account number for us to. So we will share the account number with the audience so that they can pay through make a donation through our account number. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. I also want to add something to it. I think I forgot to tell the audience about our innovative website called getprepghana.com. I think it's the first in the country where when you go there, the whole idea is to educate anyone in Ghana about prep. So www.getprepghana.com. We are trying so hard to populate the website with every prep facility that provide preps in the country. We are still getting the data from the National AIDS Control Program, but the website is live. When you go there, you see the 16 regions that we have. What you call states, we call more like regions. We have about 16 of them. And so when you click on the Eastern region, it should be able to tell you where you can get prep from. We are also going to try so hard to get some prep navigators on the website as well, so that when you probably want to navigate and probably access prep, you can talk to these prep navigators directly. On the issue of donation, I quite remember recently I learned that we should stop using the word donation and use words more like invest in us, invest in us, Ghana. So we are looking for more like social impact investors who want to invest in us. It has been a very difficult journey. And I must thank Lisha and Wendell for their donations. We started a very innovative program in this country where we were providing baby formula for mothers with high viral loads, and it was due to the kind benevolence of Lisha and Wendell. It did help a lot of people. I still get some of the midwives calling me and asking me, when are we going to have it again? I was like, listen, you need to wait a little bit. We are trying to see how we can make it a long term. So yes, we realized that funding is so important. I think I stole something from Ismail the other time I came round. I think they were connected to a social good website in California or so. So I think I picked it from there, and I think a physical host. So what we realize is that in most of the times when we are trying to access funding, they want to be sure whether you have had some sort of funding before. Assuming you are accessing for, let's say, $50,000, they would want to make sure that at least you have had some sort of revenue around the same amount before. So there are times we have innovative ideas that we want to translate into impact. But when it comes to the financial contribution aspect, the financial muscle aspect, we are found wanting. I would say that in our last emails to Gilead concerning we accessing funding from Gilead, it was sad when we were looking for about 100,000 plus to run a program, and then what we had that year was not even up to $10,000. So I think on the risk management aspects, it was going to be difficult for them to really handle us the money. Not that they didn't trust us, but it was more of a case management aspect. So we need to work on that very well. I realize that donations help in the sense that it gives you the liberty to do innovative stuff. You are not boxed into a certain area, more like unrestricted funding, where when there are issues here, you can quickly go and settle over here and all that stuff. So though we might be looking for the normal traditional grants, we would also be looking at a lot around unrestricted funding that comes in the form of donation. I think the only problem we had was the fact that most of these African countries find it very difficult working with these donation platforms. They don't work in so many countries. I think I've only seen South Africa where you can go to an NGO's website in South Africa and then you can click on donate and then you see options like South African Rand, the US dollar, and all that stuff. There are issues with how we will need to rerun ours over here, but we are still working on it. And for now, our bank accounts are ready. We can probably take donations through that. But I tell you, for us, the advocacy is so important. Sometimes you need to do a lot of advocacy. And for us, advocacy does not involve so much money. If we will not have the money to do the real impact on the ground, but then we could have some small amount to be able to influence government policies, to be able to make sure that we can monitor and make sure that policies are indeed running. We are so grateful about it.
Well, Max, first, thank you so much for just sharing even more about the work and the role Axe Ghana is playing. And so I already see that our first task is to help support you in getting that website up so that you can collect donations and you won't be in the place for any funder to say, oh, well, you haven't had a lot of money to be able to for us to give you that $100,000 grant. So that's what we are believing as of today, and as of people watching this webinar, even later on, that there will be opportunities to donate and help support your work. At this time, I do want to open up for our audience. If anyone has any questions or comments or thoughts, please feel free to share it at this time while we have both leaders of Axe Ghana present.
Good morning to us in the U.S. and good afternoon to you in Ghana. You know, I never fail to be amazed at the work you guys do with so little. And I think that's one of the things I'm so much drawn to. You do so much with so little. And the impact that you're making inspires me and wants me to connect to help you do what you're going to do. And I know funding is a major issue. It always has been and always will be, especially with minority organizations. And I know in your country it's probably worse than what it is in this country. And I'm glad you focus on women because women are the seed. No, we are here because of a woman.
Yes.
So if we can help them, we also help ourselves. And what generation is yet to come, because they're the one carrying us. So I'm glad you focus on women. So my thing is this. I know funding is an issue. What can be done to expedite the process?
Okay. So I think currently when I tell you this, you'll be a little bit sad. So Global Fund, a huge amount of money to do HIV work. In the last 3 years, what we had was about $88 million to run HIV programming in the country. Now, I don't like to use this word. What happens is that people tend to align with some people and then funding goes to them. So it is sad to know that before this year ends, a lot of the funds that we have will not be used. There is a funding called Community System Strengthening Fund, which was almost about $1.8 million. That was supposed to have gotten to community-based organizations like us to work. But you'll be shocked that the funds have not been absorbed. Less than 100,000 of the funds have been absorbed. So currently, like we said, our biggest shot is the fact that we are going to have another global fund funding process starting very soon. And then we are going with this. Listen, community-based organizations like us need a lot of funding to be able to do our work. We tend to even do the most innovative work that even the whole Ghana team is not able to do. Sometimes you'll be shocked. Some of these big men from National Youth Control Program will visit us, and when they realize the kind of work we do, they are talking about how do we scale up? And I'm like, where is the money for us to do the scale up? So currently, me and Edwin are looking at gate crashing a lot of these meetings that are going to happen this year, making sure that when the grants are written, there will be some funding community organization like us to be able to tap in and then do our work. So for now, that is the first one. And then we are also looking at corporate Ghana. And this whole epidemic has fallen on us myself. Our mothers, our fathers, our young sisters, our young women, some work, some are within some organization who work. And so imagine you can go to them and tell them about the stuff you do. So we are looking at corporate Ghana going forward. We had written a few letters to some corporate organization asking for funding. We had a few who said that we came in late last year because of the fact that they needed to do their budgets early in the first quarter of every year. So we are going back to Corporate Ghana this time, looking for some funding to run some specific programs, especially the Prep Access for All that is looking at adolescent girls and young women. So we are looking at Corporate Ghana, and then we are looking at the Global Fund in the long run. And then before we look at the donation buttons and other stuff.
Thank you so much for that, Max. I heard several things, an opportunity for community giving with uh, donation component to your website. I think that that's what Mr. Martin was asking about, how we expedite. You also shared the opportunity for funding from corporate giving through the letters now in the first quarter, and then of course for funding directly for the country to address HIV for women and girls. I would like to just make space before we get to the end to introduce Dr. Danielle Campbell, who has joined us. Dr. Campbell is a researcher who has done significant work with women and girls and HIV prevention. And so, with her being present, I thought it may be a great opportunity as a part of our closing to talk about how research plays a role and how the impact of partnership with research for women and girls. Dr. Campbell, Max shared with us earlier about they always introduce PrEP is a part of the prevention strategy for HIV testing, but the translation from knowledge to actually using PrEP seems to be very similar to the challenges that we are experiencing in the US. So just wanted to give you an opportunity to have a comment or a thought before we begin our wrap up. And if you are speaking, Dr. Campbell, you are on mute. Okay. Don't know if she is having some technical difficulty. If we do get her back, we'll give her an opportunity to have a few words before we close. Edwin, go ahead.
Yes, I just wanted to say something with the website. So the challenge has been that we wanted to use Swipe. When you and Swipe is not in Africa. I think only South Africa. I think even in South Africa, I don't know how they're able to use some of these payment platforms. So to be able to reach the donors in US and Europe, we needed to have Swipe or PayPal. And to be able to have Swipe or PayPal, we needed to have incorporated as Ghana in US. And we were having a challenge with that. It was a bit, we didn't know how to go about it. So now we are looking at local payment platforms, which will be also credible to our donors and grantors in Europe and America. So that is what we are working on. And just as Maxwell said, we are really working hard to get that in place. And then just as we said earlier on too, before that, before we end the meeting, we'll share our account number so that anybody can donate straight away to our account number through maybe tap send, whatever payment platform that there is. Thank you.
And so, Edwin, thank you for that. And just for security purposes, I'm going to ask that we do not share that in the chat. What I will do is make the email connection to one of the donors on this platform. It's just a blessing, even with a small group, to have someone to say yes, that they can give and support. And Mr. Martin has placed in the chat his commitment for the rest of 2026. So thank you so much, Mr. Martin. And we will for sure connect all of the three of you by email for that information. Any final comment or thought before we close out this session on this morning, this afternoon?
Yes.
Mhm.
I have had this conversation with you a lot, but the others haven't had the opportunity to listen to what we talk about, where we said that prevention is very, very important because of the fact that it's more like when you are pouring water into a bucket. When you continuously pour, it will overflow. And that is what is happening to our country, where on a yearly basis, our new HIV diagnosis is around 50,000. 50,000 per year, where almost 70 to 75% are women. The sad issue is that when it comes to linkages with this 50,000, we're able to do about 30 or 40, 50% per year. So in the first place, we are not linking enough to treatment. Virtually every year, we are not able to do 100% linkage. We're able to do less than 50% linkage. And another sad issue is that for those on treatment, a lot are also going off. Our 2023 data gave us a figure of around 245,000 people on treatment. The following year, the number came down to almost, it reduced by 70,000. So what we are also seeing is the fact that we do not have innovative programs that are keeping people on treatment. Treatment is not only about medication giving. People will need to move from where they are to go and pick their medication. Because of stigma, we have people moving about 2-3 hours from where they stay to Tafo to come and pick medications. So our best bet is prevention. We need to be able to make sure that we reduce the numbers drastically, and then we can have enough funding to be able to focus on those who are currently on treatment. I tend to have people asking me, it looks as if you are shifting the whole goalpost from treatment to prevention. And I'm telling no, the idea is this. Make sure you reduce the new HIV diagnosis numbers, and then you have enough money to be able to do more than just providing medication to people. I know one organization in the US called God We Deliver, where they give frozen food to people with chronic diseases like HIV as well. So nutrition is so important. But then when you come to our country, apart from the medication that we give to people on treatment, there is nothing else that we attach. Even when it comes to some sort of labs you need to run, monitoring labs you need to run, people do not even have the money to run those monitoring labs, like the kidney functioning test that you need to do, like liver functioning test. People have been on medication for more than 2, 3, 4 years. They have never done those things. So I think our best bet is prevention, and then also making sure that we also look at treatment as well. But for now, we are so happy giving us this platform. I think I will go through this recording so many times, and then God bless you so much, Lisa. God bless you, Wendell, and thank you so much. We can't say enough to convince you how grateful we are for what you have done for us. And I tell you, we move around Ghana nowadays, and then people tend to listen to us a lot. And because of what we have gained and learned from you, even the diplomacy, I used to do a lot of attacking here and there, but I met you and I have toned down. It is more like I need to be more diplomatic about how I fight this battle. So thank you so
Well,
much.
and Wanda, the training award then, because diplomacy is the key, Max. We know how we feel and we know when we see injustice, but we can't take our eye off the prize for what we're fighting for. And sometimes it does cause us to hold still, and refrain. And there are other times when you must speak out. But the diplomacy is learning to know the difference. So thank you for that.
And we thank Mr. Wendell so much. Wendell has been our biggest donor. God bless him so much. He's an amazing man. He's an amazing young man. We thank him so much, and we hope that wherever this money is coming from, he will have its thousand folds coming back to him.
Awesome.
Women and girls are so grateful, as Ghana is so grateful, and we can't wait to see you guys either this year or early next year. You guys still owe us coming to Ghana, so
That's
we are
right.
definitely going to wait for you. And then we thank you so much. God bless you,
Thank
and
you,
thank you
Max.
so much.
God bless you and Edwin, the whole entire team at Acts Ghana, and those who are watching. There will still be opportunities to support this organization, whether it is through research, it is through grant making, or it's just through personal giving. When we talk about the HIV epidemic for women and girls, it goes beyond just the borders of the United States. We're looking to support women and girls around the world. So thank you so much for joining us.
Can I say something,
All
Max?
right. Thank you very much.
Go ahead.
Max, I'm so honored to be a part of this because the word of God